My name is Ken Pooch van Druten. I'm a front of house engineer for Bruce Dickinson. He is the lead singer of Iron Maiden, and this is
Tater McCarthy. I'm the monitor engineer for Bruce Dickinson on the Mandrake tour.
We're at the House of Blues here in Dallas, and we're using the Waves LV1 both here at front of house and in monitors. This particular console, just by itself, when you bring up an input into it, it just really sounds great.
We're here to show you how to use it.
We come in every single day, coming off the truck. We love these Z cases. They fold right into there and then fold up. One person can set all this up. We've had these consoles for 2 weeks of rehearsals, and now we're about 3 weeks into the tour. The best way for us is to have one of the Ionic mic pre-racks be the master clock for the whole audio network, and that gets fired up first. By it being the master, every time we fire up everything else, it fires up right up, and the reliability is really great. The way that I usually set up a console is straight from the stage. First 2 to 3 layers are the input, usually in the input order that they are, so that they're easy to go to. So if you go here, you can see that my drums are all in the first layer of stuff, right? And the second layer are, bass, guitars, keys, extraneous things, background vocals, lead vocal, and then I think in the third one is like some extra guitar channels. So those first 3 things, the way that I have those just laid out, super quick, super simple in my own head. Hey, I want to go to drums, it's on layer 1. I want to go to basic guitars, it's on layer 2, etc. This is my custom layer. This is where the layer that I use during the show handles controlling big things. So one fader that controls all of the drums, one fader that controls the bass channels, one fader that controls the stage right guitar player, etc., etc. So quick mix things that I can get to. But along with that are faders that I use that I touch often. So for instance, this is Bruce's vocal right here, but right next to it is a delay send, and then right next to that is an effects handle that controls all of the returns of the effects. Then intro and walk-in, and then my left and right are all in that same bank. So these are all the things that I need to touch during the show. And if I need to get at the EQ of specific things, I come right out of my custom bank, and boom, they're there. I am a guy that tends to use groups, and often I use group into groups. All the drums, for instance, are being sent to 3 different groups, 2 of which are the shell drums, 2 different kinds of compression on those buses to kind of get a snappier sound out of the drums. So I'm sending those to 2 groups. Then all the cymbal bits, the hi-hat, the right cymbal, and the overheads all go to their own group. And then from there, they are sent to a monitor send, which is called the band, which has its own compression on it. So I like several layers of compression, all of them not being drastic compression. So as you hit one group, it's 3 dB of compression, but it hits a second group that is also 3 dB of compression. So it's gain stages of compression. So from this band monitor section, it goes to the master section left and right. So all of the things on my console are going to groups, being compressed or processed in those groups. From those groups go to a band bus that's in the monitor section, and from that band bus to the left and right. And that happens also with vocals. I get this question asked a lot of me. What do you use on Bruce's vocal? So the very first plugin in line, high pass filter and a low pass filter. Don't forget about the low pass filter, it's important. I use it to filter out all the sparkly bits that are on that stage, super loud cymbals, all those kind of things. Second plugin is the PSE, one of the best plugins ever made. It is basically a vocal gate. In live sound, it prevents the loudness that's happening up on stage from getting into your vocal. And when the singer is not singing, it closes the gate. What you can do is have the threshold of this particular plugin be controlled by that low pass and high pass filter. And if you notice, I have them in the same frequency, so it's very narrow. And what I do is sweep to find a really sweet spot in his vocal that opens that gate, but all the rest of the things on the stage don't open that gate. It happens to be for him at 490 hertz. The third thing is CLA2A. Excellent compressor. If you notice, I'm running virtual playback through it. I hit this pretty hard, and the reason that I hit it hard is when you get deep into this compressor, it starts adding some harmonic distortion that is really pleasing, and especially on a vocal, it sounds really great. So don't be scared. Like, get into this compressor, nail that sucker. The fourth one is the C6. I always call this plugin my desert island plugin. If I had no other choice to have any plugin, it would be this plugin. And the reason is it's so versatile. So you can see his vocal is hitting that, getting pretty deep in there, like 6 dB worth of information, but it's dynamic processing, so it's kind of smoothing out his vocal. Bruce is a very dynamic singer, and he has a low-end part of his voice that comes from his belly, and then a chest voice, and then a throat voice, and they're all very different. And having a dynamic processor involved in that is really the only way to make him sound and really shine. After that is the F6. This is Swiss Army knife dynamic processing. You'll see that all of my Q on this is really narrow. I'm just grabbing a few frequencies. And then you'll see also I have 2 on the very end of my vocal chain that are not always inserted. They're kind of my emergency plugins if I need an EQ on the end. Also X feedback, a really great way to keep your vocal from feeding back when PAs are super close in a small club. So that's Bruce Dickinson's vocal chain. What is my master bus chain of plugins? The first plugin I use, the Abbey Road mastering chain, a fantastic plugin. It does all kinds of things. It does compression, harmonic distortion, but really what I use this plugin for is spreading and making the actual stereo field feel wider. And so any sort of MS processing I'm doing in my input side of this, by using this particular plugin, it kind of spreads things out and makes it sound great. It's an awesome plugin. After that, the C6, just dynamic, basic processing, smooth out the mix, usually hit around maximum 3 dB of changes within all my things. After that is a L3 Ultra Maximizer. The way that we make our live sound mixes sound like records is this particular type of plugin. And then on the very end of it, I have just your basic, graphic EQ that if I need to grab something during the show, I don't use it to tune the PA, but I use it to kind of, if there's a certain frequency that is offensive during the show, it's something that I'll grab and have it as a tool. So part of what drew me towards the LV1 was the fact that I had access to all of Waves plugins available here. I also mix records and other situations that are not just necessarily a live mix. And I use plugins in all of those situations. So things are very familiar here. I use the same plugins here on a snare drum, for example, that I use making records. I get to choose the plugins that I want and bring them to a live sound mix.
For Bruce Dickinson, I have 10 wedge and side fill mixes, 4 stereo in-ear mixes, just over 40 inputs. We fill up the 24 and the 16 ionic, and then I take the audience mics directly into the inputs locally on this desk. Pooch and me share a few inputs. He sends stuff in front of house. We share it on the patch, comes up on my desk. It's basically just playback and talkbacks. Pretty simple, straightforward. It's a rock band. Me louder. Me louder than everybody else. I fire the desk up, load my session. I start on Mixer 2 screen, which I always have set to my aux outs. If you have your gain structure correct to all your mix outs and your inputs, everything's going to come up and sound good to start with, right off the bat. If all your stuff is correct there, it's like building the foundation. And then I go to Mixer 1, And I do all my inputs on mixer 1. And I kind of am in this mode for basically show mode after I'm all set up, pinked, and ready to go. These are all my inputs. I've done it under a custom layer to get the stuff fast. I cue mixes up, sends on faders, do my adjustments, right back on it. First, we'll go to the mixes. I use the GEQ Classic as the 31 band in all my wedge and side fill mixes. And then I have a chain of SSL compressor L2 and C6 that I've used for years with my presets for basically the ear mixes. I've never changed. I don't change the settings really. That's my standard setup for those to feel safe with compression and limiting, and I think they sound really good. So I just put those in. That's all I do to them. The SSL comp, I'm not hitting the compressor at all or anything. I just run through it. I think running through it sounds better, at least to me. So it's basically just running through there. I love having the L2, which has saved me a couple of times. We had some playback from front of house, and sometimes the levels don't come through quite as you expect them sometimes, and that's saved me quite a bit, so I love having that on there. And the C6 just smooths it all out for me at the end. It's really all it is. Just takes the edge off, makes it a little more musical for me. Always concerned about latency. Not a sexy thing in audio terms is, latency, and it's not something you think about when you're coming from an analog world like I originally came from, but it's something you have to adapt to and think about now. And with this console, 0 issues, 0 complaints about any of that. And I do feel I'm running not a ton of heavy, big plugins, but enough where it could come into play, and hasn't yet, knock on wood. With the Waves LV1 Classic, my first thing was switching to a new platform for this tour. Obviously I was like, I've never used this desk before. I have to perform right off the bat. There's no like going to rehearsals and like front of house, you're in the other room. No, the bands immediately need stuff. I thought I adapted to it very quick, and Waves, the LV1 Classic, made that extremely easy for me and my thought process and how to operate the desk. Small, light, easy setup, and most importantly, fader, counts, this, that, I/O, all this stuff. It's got to sound good, and that's what we're here for, right? It's got to sound good. You don't want to fight that. And this desk, to me, made dialing up the mixes fast, efficient, and sounded great right off the start.
I'm really super pleased that I've chosen the LV1 for this tour. It's really doing all the things that I expected it would do and more. It's such a small little package, but does so many amazing things well. I would take this console into an arena tour, honestly. It's a great sounding desk. And we're really pleased to have it out here on the Bruce Dickinson tour.